What's up? What's up? What's up? Now, I kind of just got done working out by doing so many different attempts because I had a different order I wanted to do because it took too long to get to this point, and then my other video was going on too long, so I figured let me go ahead and make this short because it's not that really important. But this is the thing, man. This is something that I always have a problem with YouTube where, and I always thought it was weird. It's always been weird with me. When I see another YouTuber and people leave comments, and I feel like there's a real thought process of these people leaving comments, some of the time. Like just some real thought, like using their brain to have like you can kind of say like a civilized conversation, even though I don't believe in all that, like people are civilized and all that, but just something that seems normal. But I always felt like with me, I don't get that. I used to get the people who agree with me or the people who don't agree with me. They'll say something just blockable. Just like I you got blocked with the first sentence, even though you left me a comment because you started talking about something that had nothing to do with anything, which I'll get on into a second. And but and it's like one of those things that I want to get into where it started out. How I wanted to be proved wrong. I got to the point like no one can prove me wrong. And on the real world on YouTube, so I started to do these videos talking about no one can prove me wrong, and I had this like music in the background that sounds badass from like let's say, one was no that was X-Men Apocalypse from the trailer. I don't remember which trailer it was. And it was really good videos. I love those videos. But it was just, the outcome was just pretty pathetic. And I'll get into that, more at the end, because this is what I want to get into first. There's something that in my video that's titled Trump supporters. This is something I'm going to add real quickly, and then I'll get into the more of the point of this video. But I want to say something about, my video that I just said there's so much that, that people call us a right wing conservative or whatever they call themselves, KKK, whatever. They eat certain things up, like certain words up for agenda. Like all these people, the rich people have to say, and these uneducated poor people will eat it up and think, yeah, man, you're right, and then they'll follow along. And I said, it's just a really easy formula. It's something like Trump, circle or Trump, they use the word, and I put a link where Family Guy mocks it, where she says it's not what Jesus would want, or 9/11. 9/11 was bad. Yeah, man, you're right, man. Let's follow you, that kind of stuff. I agree. And I always said that also about other hate channels. They'll say something that sounds like eating food will make you fat. I noticed this little trend. It's like, okay. And then they go bizarre saying a whole bunch of things that, what the F are you talking about? Your first sentence made sense. Like that's something duh. But, and I realized that is a strategy for them. But it's like, you got to be really retarded to fall for that. But like I said, any kind of agenda, which I'm going to get into, that it's just like the exact same thing I get over and over again. But so Trump could literally say the things they use is Jesus, God, woke, bad immigrants, and the main thing he uses the most, besides liberals and blah blah, blah is Biden and Obama. And before Trump came into office, I knew Obama would still be coming out of his mouth. And I thought it'd be one of those things like people laugh, ha ha ha, you still talking about Obama by now. But no, he just keeps using Obama. That's just weird. It's like, why are you still thinking about Obama? That's just like, just stop, dude. But anyways, but those are the two main things that Trump uses: Biden and Obama, or woke, and and they eat it up. And and like I said, and there's another thing that I just feel like it's like I said, it's too much, and that's why I brought it in the video. I didn't feel like talking about it, but I brought up the American flag thing. People who on YouTube, if you see one with an American flag behind them, they will hold videos about the liberals or something, hate kind of speech about loving guns, and it's the same thing. It's just like they know what their base eats up. What was it? And the thing is, there's one more thing I could have mentioned. That's why I'm, just mentioning this whole thing. Is I don't know her name. She was made fun of South Park. I guess she's Control of Ice. I don't know. I My other temp, I went on all day about her face looked like she had some major surgery, and then I got into I guess the Amazon wife. And I saw her, and I was like, no, that's going on too long. Because I'm thinking, how could people want that? But anyways, but trash people, I guess, because they're very single. What I've seen on YouTube, and worse looking, but and it's not even surgery. They just look that way. But anyways, let's get off that. But I learned that people call us the right wing conservative, blah blah. Some reason they have a fetish with girls that show their ass while they're shooting a sniper gun. When I see these thumbnails, it's just I don't click it. For some reason I'm like just so turned off by it. It's like, why am I why are you shooting a gun? I mean, I get it. Something about Fortnite, people pick girls, so when they lean over, they can look at their ass. But it's just, I never thought it would be really like a fetish about girls having their legs spread out, and it's showing their ass in tight pants while they're shooting a sniper gun. I know you've seen it. If you've been on YouTube or look up things about guns, you'll constantly see that, on YouTube. And it's just, and that's why she's ahead of that. And, and that's what they use. And it works for that base. And to me, that's the strangest kind of base that it just, So anyway, so to get on to now something that I want to talk about is on that video. I think I was saying that they niche certain things like woke, they eat it up, any kind of agenda, something about God or bring up God for a situation that has nothing that has nothing to do with the situation at all. Though just bring up God, like that Florida guy did talking about vaccines. He says we Christians are God or whatever he said. And I'm like, which I explain more in that video. But anyways, I'm getting dumb shocked thinking about that right now. Is so to get on the point is like, how I always saw it when it comes to my comments of like majority of people who get blocked is my logic is undeniable. I understand that. It's like my logic has always been like common sense stuff. Like I'll say, the color of this pillow is white. And and certain people like always say when I hear them talk about something, like for me to try to disagree with them, I would have to go full retard to try to disagree with them. I would really have to pull something out of my ass, like to and go full retard and just bring up something that has nothing to do with anything. And so that's why when I was telling no one can prove me wrong, because when I say something, it's always facts. I don't believe no opinion. I believe right, wrong, true, false. I say facts. If I'm not sure, then I don't really talk about it. Really, it doesn't really matter that much. I just got bored or something. But yeah, I'm saying facts. So to try to deny what I'm saying, you always are going to have to pull something out of your ass to go full retard. So I kind of talk about it, or this guy where I was talking about people who use agenda, anything they come up with. When I did a video response towards this guy called Young Rip, I think that's his name. I don't know. I haven't seen his channel in forever. Where he gave me a video response, and I was like pausing, and responding by saying, "Any second you want to call me something, don't you? You want to call me an Xbox fan, a liberal. You want to give me a label. You want to use me as one. You trying to find agendas to use me for something, but you don't know what I mix with, which is pretty clear. But I just know that a lot of people don't know what I'm mixed with on YouTube. But and so he's like, he don't know if he wants to call me. Why are these so you can like come some agenda or some black guys so you have some agenda. So he goes, these light skinned people, man, because he had nothing. So and that's what I constantly have always gotten when it came to the comment section. It's, why are you laying on the bed? Or why it's like, you don't know what you talking about, you laying on the bed, block. And it'd be a way longer paragraph. They got blocked there, but that's the usual one. I actually can't really remember it at all, but I know the main thing, because I usually when you go down, I used to have those little hat looking like hair. It says, that's why your hair looks like a mop, because they're so dumb they thought that was my actual hair. And then blocked. It's just like they have nothing to prove me wrong. And that is it. They'll just say something just wasting my time. And that's the thing is I'm saying it's just there's it's like me. It's like if I got nothing, then I just keep my mouth shut. But I'm just saying that that's just it. It's like looking for something when nothing's there. So sometimes I said before, sometimes I want to eat a banana while I do my videos. And and they'll say I'm person of color to eat a banana. So it's like, and use that, but I said I just never really felt care to do that or anything. But I'm saying is I wish I could tell you there's more, but I just can't really remember because I gotta usually dumbstruck my brain and usually when I block people I can't really remember what they said because I didn't even finish reading anything. They got blocked with the first sentence, but it's always something about if I'm talking about a hate channel or something. It's like you're laying in bed, or I don't know. Also, something about this person makes this many views, block. Just pointless things, and they have nothing. I said it take me a while to remember because it's like things that I would never think of. Yeah, I forgot about that. This person has this many subscriber, block. but never attempt to prove me wrong. And one more example of my logic being always undeniable is I used to, like I said, do those videos talking about no one can prove me wrong, I'm the best, have some, badass music in the background while I'm saying it. And I usually be good at it, but I just don't remember my flow how I used to do it, but I always had some good ones. And I was getting like, trashy people give me view responses because I said I will respond to anyone, and I don't do that anymore because they were talking about killing themselves and blaming me for the way they feel. But, all that. Um, but I always when I do those videos talking about no one can prove me wrong, I want to debate them. Someone try to prove me wrong mostly about movies or something I actually care about or something. And I never got that. And I'm explaining if I combine all the videos together, which is the weirdest, kind of trashiest, strangest thing. But it was always majority of it was you suck, you're a loser, you're a nobody. This guy, he's probably a bad dad, and and I'm like, that's not a debate, that's not proving me wrong. I don't explain that. I just don't respond to the video really. But usually they'll keep giving more and more and more videos, because it knows I respond to everyone else, and hopefully I'll respond to them someday. And sometimes I would try to eventually, and actually realize it's the exact same outcome. But the main thing was the main, strategy they did was play dumb. Give me a video response says, I don't know what's going on, what's happening. I don't understand. And that was their main strategy. And they did it in their parents' house. And it was revealed that they all lived with their parents and, and didn't have any friends. They revealed it themselves on separate videos. But their main strategy was to play dumb as if they didn't understand anything I'm saying. So, it's like, I don't know what this guy's even talking about. And the outcome was, we can look at you and see why your life is where it is. But and if you combine all those videos together, all of them, all videos that people gave me a view response, it went over 20 hours long. And that whole 20 hours, majority of it was, I don't understand what's going on, what's happening, and talk about this guy sucks, he's a loser, and never once attempt to prove me wrong. So that's why I block so easy. Because I know if people took over 20 hours, all videos combined, to give me a video response, to try to whatever they were attempting to do, I don't even waste my time with comments that are so dumb. That's why I block so easy, because I was figuring, hey, I gave people over 20 hours of video, which I never, watched. Certain people give me 3-hour video response that I didn't get very far at all, and none of it made any sense. Not once. Not one thing. But anyways, I gotta go. But that's the thing is, I'll make sure it's clear, is the agenda thing is like they'll try to find anything, like some kind of like dividing thing or dislike thing. I don't know what that was. I think that's my iPad. I'm trying to stop from, but anyways, and they'll say something, that's why you're in your bed. That's why this person has this many subscribers. That's why, and I'm like, where's the thought process? And every single time, what I'm saying is, usually when they show themselves, like do videos of themselves on their channel, while I'm blocking them, it's it's creeper than I normally see. As in, I don't, it's like things I think these people stay in the house their whole life because they just look like they just haven't had any sun. They look hairy, out of shape. They look like they have never been outside, like they never brushed their teeth, and it's almost every single time. But anyways, I gotta go. And even though I like to say almost, I like to say I don't like to use the word all, even though they do. But if on YouTube, it's pretty close to that all. All right, peace. I think it is at all, but like I said, I just try to avoid from using all, but it's at that all. All right, peace.